and welcome to Let's Make a Top-Down Shooter. This video is about applying a chilled slow effect through the gameplay queue system. This effect will reduce both movement speed and fire rate. And a special thanks to all my supporters. Your support is what makes this worth doing. So much like the previous video, we're going to start with a Niagara system. In this case, I'm just going to duplicate this one, call it NS Chilled. Going to go in, click the sprite renderer, go to the material, search for smoke. There is a smoke sub-UV. It's very small, but you can see the image there. It is 8 by 8 instead of 6 by 6. So we'll switch that. Make that preview look a little better on the left. And then we're just going to go to initialize particle and change the two colors to blue and lesser blue. Similarly, we can just duplicate the gameplay notify actor. Rename this one. First, we'll change the gameplay queue tag. This one will be gameplay queue.chilled. And in the Niagara here, we can set the system asset. And as a surprise to everyone, we'll take the GE burning and duplicate that. In here, we want to make a few changes. There is no period, so we could set that to 0. We can remove the component because we're not suppressing the shield in this case. We want to add another modifier. We'll switch this first one to move speed multiplier, switch it to multiply, and set it to 0.5. Similarly, the second one will be fire rate, or firing rate, multiply 0.5. And lastly, change the gameplay queue tag to chilled. And we can go into our third-person character, where we have our test input, and we'll just switch this to GE chilled. So when we go in here, pick our character, hit Q, hit tilde accidentally. Actually, let's show that anyways. So I'll hit Q, and you can see there it is. My character's moving slower. I grab the assault rifle, normal firing speed, hit Q, firing at half that speed. Now if I go ahead and hit Q again, or multiple times, you can see it gets stacked on the left. This is the way that gas handles multiply. It's a little weird because of what's happening is it's taking the base, multiplying it by the 0.5, and actually subtracting it. So you get a negative value if there's too many stacks. However, we don't actually want any stacks. So to fix that, we can go back into the gameplay effect. At the bottom under stacking, we can aggregate by source or target. In this case, target. We'll set our stack limit to 1, and the duration will refresh if it's added while it's still going. So in here, I do the same thing, pop open the debug, mash Q a few times, it only happens once, and our slow and fire rate effect are applied. Also note that if you get ahead of this playlist with your own projects, and that is a great way to learn, applying this debuff to the enemy does not work. This will be added in an upcoming player powers video. And lastly, in our mission tracker blueprint, in our begin play, we're spawning our enemies and then we're getting the player pawn and using the registering call to wait for it. The problem is, as of the earlier video with character selection, this is no longer valid when the mission tracker calls begin play. And since it's happening only the one time, this calls, it goes through cast failed because this is null, and then this never gets set up properly, and it never gets added to the UI, which you can see in here. If I go into a mission, you can see at the top of the screen, there's no text. So we're going to fix this with a timer event that checks for the player pawn to be available so that we can call the wait on the gameplay ready state. However, also note that that's a hack. It's a workaround that we're using now to just get this out quickly, and it may be refactored at some later time. So to do that, we're going to move this up here. I'm going to call set timer by event. This will be looping. We'll just put it at 0.5 seconds. Drag this up here to create an event. No. Add a custom event. We'll just call it wait on player. This will call this logic. We're going to add this timer handle as a variable. Just call it wait on player timer. So every half second this will happen. If get player pawn is no longer null, it will continue this logic and work as expected. And then over here we can call clear and invalidate timer by handle. Not sure if that actually sets this to null. I don't think it can. So we can also just do that, set it to null. Now when you go into a mission, the mission tracker ends up working again. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video and would like to see more, you know what to do. And if you would like to support this channel or just want to download the project files, you can do so through my Patreon linked below.